would have been coming this way, been diverted across to the palace that way for voting. So we're hoping that they'll be popping in as the session goes on, and once that voting is finished. We don't actually know how many votes there are, so that will determine how long it takes them to come back through. So we're just going to pull a couple of chairs in here, and then as and when the MPs are able to pop in, they're just going to be seated down here. That's just so everyone knows that's what's happening. If you see me coming in and out with random chairs, that'll be why. James, we all good? Happy with your side of the recording?
Yes, all good.
Carolina, can I hand over to you the chair? Is that all right? So, yeah, Mohammed was chairing the session. It's going to pop back in when so we'll go with that. So yeah, Carolina, over to you. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, thank you very much everybody for your time today. I know that it must be quite difficult to travel and take time off work to get here, so I really appreciate it. So I run the Care Workers Charity. We are a benevolent fund that supports care workers financially and with their mental health. And we also do a lot of campaigning around professionalization of the workforce, respecting recognition, improved funding, and so generally trying to do a nationwide policy with my support. I'm a former care worker myself. I worked for many years, mainly in home care, also living care work as well. So I have a first-hand experience of what it's like to work in social care. I asked Matthew to organise this meeting today because next week we're running Professional Care Workers Week, which we organise every year, which is because every other profession has got a week or a day. I started this a few years back thinking, why don't care workers? Because care workers should have a day. Now it's really recognised from the work and professionalism and the contributions that we make. Yes, so it can happen next week because Parliament is released as I believe because of party controversy. That's why we're having the meeting today. So yes, again, thank you very much for you being here. Like Matthew said, MPs will come and go with the technical, but just to listen in when they have time. But what I would really like to do is just to ask you people to introduce yourself, how we'll go around the table, and then just to have a conversation. I have just a few questions for you to share experiences either as a care worker or as a person who grows on social care, who gets supported by care workers. What your thoughts are on certain things. Is that all right? Yeah. Any questions before we start? Brilliant, thank you. So could I ask maybe from this cycle go around?
Yeah. So I'm just here in the support capacity, so I'm with MHA, so I'll pass on to my colleagues.
I'm Yasmin Khan. I'm a housing manager at MHA. I manage 4 retirement living schemes, 2 in North London, 1 in Milton Keynes, and 1 in Hertfordshire. Focused on providing tailored, resident-focused, comprehensive management service to those residents. My main responsibility isn't so much around the care element of running the scheme. It's more things of void management, repairs and allocation, and rental arrears. I'm also the lead for health and safety compliance for all schemes, and yeah.
I'm Surisha. I'm the home manager for the Meadow. It's one of the residential dementia care in Hill. I've been working there for almost 8 years, and I've been in elderly care since I was 29, I think. I don't want to say my age there. I started off, I'm a physiotherapist by background. I came to this country to do my master's in visual therapy, completed, and by chance I've got offered in one of the learning disability care homes to kind of deputize there. So I do have like intensive experience in working in care. Being a registered manager, you are whole and so responsible for the whole firm there. I do manage 40 beds, and I've got 60 staff, and it's been quite an experience, should I say. Since the pandemic, it's a completely different experience for us as a carer. So yeah, there I am.
Meadows.
Yeah.
That's Sound.
No, it's in Muswell.
Where?
Muswell Hill.
North London.
It's in North London. So we do have 2 meadows.
It's a Meadows in Sound.
That's right. Yeah. So we have 2.
That's a bit close, guys.
Hi, my name is Ronnie.
And I've been supported living with organisation family. Mine is Let's explain what it's like to have.
Thank you. And behind you?
My name is Shani, I'm from Anchor, the organization's, I'm one of the team leaders. I sort of managed to keep, I started out as a care assistant. That was about 15 years ago. I don't want to say my age again. And then, yeah, so it's quite an active job. I mean, leadership on, being staff members. So I sort of manage 8 to 10 staff members on duty and just allocating that's that and doing for the day and yeah.
Thank you.
I am I've lived in a shared land placement, which is like adult fostering for just over 4 years now. I have autism and mental health conditions, and I'm happy at APPG. Yeah.
My name's Amy. I worked as a support worker for nearly 6 years, and I'm a service leader for 3 supported living services in Leicester. I'm here supporting this lovely lady here today, who we'll get around to in a second. But I'm more here for my colleagues to steal the limelight, really.
Hi guys, I'm Jill and I work for Community to Take Care. I started as a support worker 10 years ago. I can't remember my age. and it's the best job in the world. As I said, I'm a service leader. And I support very vulnerable individuals, complex needs, autism, learning difficulties. I've got about 55 staff and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Hi, my name is Trishna from Leicester. I get supported by Community to Take Care, and also I'm working. My job was a quality advisor, and I love my job, and also I do some voluntary work.
So hi, my name is Anne. I work at the Caretech. I've been with Caretech for 7 years now. And that's my whole experience of social care. Now before that, I worked in a bank. I was a manager, and none of these really suited me. And then by chance, I started working for Caretech, and yeah, unless I get sacked. I have never changed my job. Neither is sacking.
Not good.
Anyone introduce yourself?
Nigel Taylor, Group Head of London and for Caretech. 12,000 staff that we support across the UK, both children's and adults. So we cross both the children's space and the adult space. So quite a lot of work to do in terms of chair of the adult social care.
I work for a group that learns about 11 years now. And like coming along, seeing one of the things that we're doing and supporting them to do.
Hello everyone, sorry about the extra into I'm Nick Jones, I'm the Senior Policy External Affairs Lead at National Care Forum. So we represent not-for-profit care and support providers in some of the organisations here today, some of the members. I'm also one of the co-chairs of the APPG and Adult Social Care alongside Hope.
And ladies,
I'm Rachel. I am not sorry, so thank you very much for making it here today. If I can badge anyone else, I'm sorry.
I'm Lucy, I work for APPG.
I'm Michelle and I'm CS and what's the chair meeting now? I'm his senior volunteer assistant.
Thank you very much. Right, thank you very much everybody for introducing yourselves. Oh, sorry. You sneaked in very well. Could you please? introduce yourself?
I'm Matt, I'm a support worker for Caretake Limited. I work at 66 Park Lane, which is a 5-bedroom residential house. I've been with Caretake now for about 10 years, but I'm doing adult mental health for around 24 now. So yeah, love it. Great stuff.
Thank you.
My name's Adam. I also work with Caretake with Matt here at 66. Support Nigel over here. Have done for about the last 2 years after moving across from working in security, and yeah, really enjoy the job so far.
I'm not good. These guys look after me and it's very good. As I know, I have had mental issues in the past since I was 18 and now 63. I have been living on independently on my own as well. So I know what it's like to live out there in the world, in the world as well, not just in mental health institutions. When I was 18, I went to asylum and I took my teeth out. That's why I've got no teeth. And then since then I went to the meadow to say, oh, what meadow? And he said, about the meadow. I thought, oh, I've got to come back on. And then I went to Knoll Hospital, which is asylum, and from there I went to Elmley. I was taking my medication, and my psychiatrist suggested that I need to go back to Elmley because he said you need help with medication. And since I had a new psychiatrist, he's able to reduce my tablets. So I'm in a low dose now. So I'm much better. I'm just waiting to move on to property now. I've been given permission from all everybody, health people, social workers. I have lost my social workers recently. I don't know what it is about me, but it's leave me. And they get me to another job and go. And so apart from that, I just enjoy life. I like travel. I bought another car. Because I got big enough recently in Luton. I don't like Luton. And that's about it really about me. I just enjoy life.
Thank you. And our tech support today.
Hi everyone, I'm James, I'm from PLMR. I have come on today to wrestle with the audio.
Thanks, thank you.
Do we actually have anybody on call?
Yes, we have 7 people on. So it's worth saying that they have a Q&A box. So if there's an opportunity for questions at the end, I'll be able to field them from there.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Right, if I can start with a question to those of you who use social care, who run services.
That's how it is.
Yeah, and on you. And yes, there you go. So if I can start with you and just ask what a difference your care workers that work with you make in your life, and do you think of the care workers that work with you, whatever the name of the role is, because obviously you have support workers, care workers, different names across the sector, depending on the type of setting. Do you think of them as professionals at the same level as nurses or doctors? How do you think of them? Do you think should be recognized as professionals? So yes. Please.
They're a bit more than that. They're not just carers, they're mothers, they're social workers, they're mental health workers. Whatever we need day-to-day life, and there's real attendance across the autism, got my mental health, got my physical needs. And I think professional workers, they're pushing for their role. And if, for instance, I need to care home to hospital with my leg, they're preparing for my leg, But when they go home, they're my financial advisor, they're my nurse, then in some cases, if I need a mum, then my mum, they're whoever I need at that point. So when you say beyond their profession, they've got a bit of everything. And it's not just day to day, it's, I'm gonna say, it's when you go home, you say, you never know what you're gonna face for the day. They don't. And so I think they are beyond professional in their category. I think they are professionals. All
Absolutely.
Anybody else? Yeah, so very soon. Like obviously with the scheme that I live in, it is very much like family because you live in your parents' home with their family. So you become part of their community and their family. And I think care workers should be paid at the same level as other NHS professionals like nurses and things like that. Not that nurses get any recognition either. But I think that if pay was better, then you'd attract the right kind of people to the care sector as well. Because that's a massive issue at the minute. I know, like attracting people to the care sector and then attracting the right people as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I treat Adam and Matt. Matt's very good to me. Tomorrow he's taking me to show tomorrow afternoon. I pay for him, but he drives the car. Don't pay enough to pay for the car, but let me show you. Yeah, I'm paying. I'm paying. But if I this year, and so if I wanted to go there anyway, it takes me out in the car. As well as I can't down my car, it takes down in the water car. But Adam is excellent. He's my technology man. If I get involved with laptops or anything about Adam, got to admit this.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's very caring. We do a budget plan once a week, every week. We'll work some money out and by buying more money, we'll got extra money in my safe. And it's none of my safe, and then in the office safe. He allows me to have that money very quiet. And he talks to my social worker, makes appointments for me. He's good. But they will not talk about, I don't know if this covers everybody's experience, they will not talk about that private knowledge. Which I find very disturbing sometimes. Because I like to know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But they say they can't divulge things.
You would like the two-way information.
There is one person that works, no names mentioned that, they know who this person. And she did not say anything about you. When I go up there, they're on holiday, I'm not saying about me. It's my private life. And she used to work in prison. So she's been used to prison life. Apart from that, I've got no trouble.
They don't go too much further.
I do.
I think you do need support for care workers because, for example, with me, I've got learning disabilities and some other health concerns. If it wasn't for them, we won't be here. They put a lot of work, and especially during COVID, I mean, say like the hospitals were jam-packed. You've got the care workers, the support workers can come to you, or do like a Teams meeting to help you, to do everything. And I think a lot of people with their different needs does need a care worker. If you haven't got any family, you will need a care worker or a support worker for your needs and needs. And I thank them. I thank each and everybody that what they've done is very important.
That's what I know. I'm very family, all my family did, right? But when I go to the care workers here, they treat me like a family member. And right, you can't, can you? You're not allowed to either.
Depends what you mean by that.
Yeah, unless you're bad.
Professional boundaries, I think is what you're referring to.
Yes.
I'd like to know, we'd like to know every single thing about every single member of staff, what they've done every single of the day, but we don't do that.
You know, the without my scholars that I've years and now I'm a parent, I've now got a new parent, and I will be able to be anywhere with me independent that I am now. Because when I first moved into and when I first got here I could talk. I'd been a mute for several years, and I hadn't left the house for several years, and now I'm getting trained buses everywhere.
Cut down and the goods are doing that. Government leads down to the children.
I just said something else.
Well, they're not factory workers. So when there's a problem, they're work. It's going to take that worker. Like, for instance, my school worker finishes at 40 not till 70 now. And I do a lot of travelling. Always when you call me, she keeps the work phone on constantly. But one of the things that worries me about care system, something was talking about that as well. I would like and things in the area to actually go and visit in this town. I don't need to talk to the residents. I don't necessarily need to talk to the staff. Just go and visit and have a chat with staff and say, this is what you do. Because I don't think the MPs, managers, and even the social workers that send you to look after you, I don't think they actually see what actually happens. Look at somebody, like, I'm well dressed and clean, the teeth, I'm always having a hate washing. Clothing to me, I prefer a t-shirt and teddy bears on it. So they're only seeing the product that comes to meetings. They're not seeing the real product unless they actually go to business owners. Ideal for me, an MP is like in her mail, to go and look, even if it was like 10 minutes, to go and look, we would get phones. And take that away.
To see what people are doing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, can I just, yes, just one quickly. You know, all my life, sorry, I'm trying to make a tip, yeah. All my life, I used to live with my mom, got my health industry. And now it was my last wish to move in with other families, down in Southampton. Now, I was capable I'm more independent than I was before. But like, so I get 13 hours a week. I mean, I can't really text or ring out of, supporting hours. So I used to text, I used to ring, but with the support workers, they were really good to me. You know, they would help me, but then it's not really fair. So now I've got this tech that's helping me a lot. You know, it's the first time I ever lived on my own. I was struggling, and now I've had like support workers that are helping me a lot, and plus the tech is really helping me a lot. They're there 24/7.
Thank you so much for coming here today. And it's a time to acknowledge and recognize the great work the care workers are doing in this country, look after those people who are struggling. And without care workers, obviously those people will suffer badly. It's great to see you all here, and very open for the questions. Then we obviously ask you questions, but it's nice to hear challenges you guys facing. What's the best way for us to recognize and acknowledge the work you're doing, and what we can do as the parliamentarians to support the workers. So please, we listen to the workers. You would do wage.
That's what I mean.
And the mission paper.
Yeah.
Right, now to all of you who work in supporting people in your different roles. If I could just ask, first of all, do you think of yourself as a professional? And do you think that you are recognized as such by different people around you and the wider society? And also, how would you like to be recognized for the work that you do?
Yeah.
Because I think it's fair to say that care workers are not recognized enough in the society.
Yeah.
So what could be done to change it? But I'm also interested in this whole professional or not, and how people treat you and perceive you around that as well. So could I start from this end?
My role is not specifically with directors of care, it's for the housing element, but I 100% agree in terms of there not being enough workers who are highly skilled, and they definitely deserve and require more recognition. I did speak to some of the care workers from some of my schemes, and their feedback was that they do want to be recognised not only as a professional but as a skilled worker. They want to be recognised as a patient, they want to be recognised through their salary, and they want to be valued. And through government and the wider public as well, and come away from the stereotype with that care workers have.
So what are the short-term and long-term actions required to recognise the care workers' work?
The feedback from the care workers that I work out using housing managers, but when I did ask them, they would like to be recognised in certification. So when it comes to progression in their care career, they want that certification to be recognised in a professional capacity so that it can be just recognised. They require a lot of training, mandatory training to even do the role without that they can't on their role. But they want it to be recognised as a professional qualification. They also wanted to pay better.
But in work poverty, I hear a lot when I go out in my constituency. What the care workers are facing is what they're working full time, but it's money not enough to pay the bills.
So it's really hard, and I feel like that will impact retention as well. In terms of the turnover with care workers as well.
Just the thing in terms of saying money is not enough, but money is the basic.
Yeah.
Because when we get applications of the care workers, we speak to care workers, everything else in terms of training certification, it's all great, but you can have training certification, people progress, but pay doesn't follow it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So we can try and change everything else around it, but pay remains.
Yeah.
The hours as well, they do weird hours. And some of them require more hours, but they've got families to look after.
Yeah.
And they're not getting enough hours, do it. You've got to come part-time or something like that. There's not enough for them. And you agree, guys?
Depends.
There's also only so many hours a week you can work.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've got one lady there, and she's working 2 days, 2 days a week, that's it.
She's retired. She's retired.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what she was. I just wanted to come back to the point we were talking about pay. The pay as a minimum needs to be there, and everything else built on top of it, and pay needs to follow progression. I think too often sort of our national debates are about what the minimum level of pay is, rather than actually what is the pay that is needed to recognise the highly skilled work that providers do, and enable them to see a career within care, not as a springboard to something else.
Should be a livable wage.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is there a sense of what you just said,
Yeah.
a career, or is it still at the stage where it's a job you do rather than here's a career I'm going into?
I think it's going to, I mean, care workers in the room here can probably answer that.
Yeah. Well, we all collectively just take a breath.
Yeah.
Right.
We're all gonna say the same thing, probably.
This is my life. My husband adjusts his work schedule to mine because I adjust my life to the people I support because they like to do certain things on a certain day. You know, I support a person who likes to go to the cinema for movies that never play before 9 o'clock at night because she likes horror movies. So I have to work till at least midnight or sometimes 1 o'clock, depending on the cinema we go to, and what we do, because she can't go on her own. So we have to support her, you know, so, and we are professionals in regards to the skills and the certificates that we want recognised. Right, I don't know if you work for other companies, but I know people who come to CareTech, the skills they acquired in other companies, the certificates, the training, is not recognised by another company because it's just internal. So there isn't a certificate that says I have completed several years in all up-to-date safeguarding legislation, and I know this by heart. There isn't. Yes. Yeah.
I think the issue is, and go back to the long debate and going back to a lot of people who have been around the sector for a while, is that we've been asking for a professional status in the sector. And having certification is one thing, but if we're not recognising it with other employers or other people or even externally, then it just filters down to nothing. So really it's about everybody recognising that professional status. And that's where the difficulty seems to be coming in terms of getting the Department of Health and Social Care to understand that if we put professionalism in, and a lot of what you've heard here is sometimes meat to the bone in terms of what some of our colleagues, parliamentarians and other people see, is that it's not really a highly skilled job. But actually what it is, because many of the people in care and support here will tell you that 2 or 3 years ago they couldn't do what they're doing today. And that's where we've made that fundamental shift in supporting people to be able to do this role. So professionalising, having something that is a passport, a skills passport, is recognised by other people in the sector, and everything else is a good place to start. And as Nathan said, underpinning that with a good rate of professional pay is what we need to do. Otherwise, we'll be still talking about 150,000 vacancies. We'll be still talking about services that are poor, and people getting poor support and care.
How can we be unskilled when, apart from all the training and everything that we need to do, can you teach kindness? Can you teach empathy? Can you teach someone to care for another person? You can't. So
that's annoying because they're considered soft skills, aren't they? By the society, that are not valued as other skills. So please.
I'm glad you made that point. One of the worries I have with training in general, not just specifically in social care, is that a lot of the schemes are tick box exercises. Have you done that? Tick. Have you done that? Tick. And it doesn't take into account the sort of qualities that you were talking about and the sacrifices people, are making. I think we probably all agree that there's not enough money in the system to give people the remuneration they deserve. That's a given. But the those sorts of qualities that they need to be reflected as part of the professionalisation of the role, I think.
I'd probably just re-echo what George said. I'm obviously a Scottish MP, but I represent quite a rural constituency, and the extra efforts that carers who are going from house to house in rural areas make, they do it because they don't do it for the rates of pay, they do it for the care. And I heard the emotion in your voice, and when I visit some of the care homes in my constituency, I don't think anybody sees what they do as a job. you know, it's very much that it's part of a community and they take a great pride in what they do. So pay is part of it, but the recognition comes there as well. But I think people end up in a position where they could potentially earn more working in a shop or doing something else, and they need to make a really difficult decision. And we need to do something to stop that.
I just said something that as well, here quite often, with most carers, that if you do a whole shift of work, then have to go to a cleaning job to try and make more money so they can pay for their rent.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that also with the lack of services, carers have to take on and support workers have to take on so much more now than they've ever done. So they're often wearing even more hats than they've ever done. So particularly people that care for people in disability often end up being a nurse, the doctor sometimes, as well as a physio, and then sometimes they end up being a mental health worker as well, because services are, there's just a lack of funding, and then it all falls on carers. And one, that ain't fair on carers, and two, it's not reflected in the respect that they get or the pay at all, and yet they're expected to have these skill levels, but it's not reflected at all. And I think a bit like Nigel was saying, sometimes it's hard to keep carers, particularly PAs, because you only get a certain amount each week, and most people can't just do an hour or two each week, so it's really difficult to even get PAs. Because so that's a massive issue as well. So people aren't, they might want to see it as a career, but they can't because of financial reasons, and also because of the emotional burden as well, because there's not enough support.
I need to go meet the young leaders in APPG chorus. Thank you very much.
So in terms of skill, it's more than just a sport. It's about accountability and it's about responsibility, and it starts with the government to see us as important. We are valued in what we do, and I think it's integral for, we get told by our governments, you know, that we do well, we're doing a good job, but I think we need more than that now. We need action. We need to see it happening. When 14 and 15-year-olds are seeing mum come home, but mum's beaming with a smile because she's been to the cinema, you know, and she's had a great time and she's made someone smile. And they want to do the same job that mum does, but they know that there's actually no qualifications. There's no, where's the pay? Am I going to be able to survive with the pay? We want to build up our youngsters to look after people, because we're all going to need looking after one day, you know. And I think it's really important.
I think a lot of the time as well with they reduce the hours, but they don't have to give us the benefits, so we don't have many full-time staff, and those full-time staff then have to take jobs elsewhere, so then when we need to cover or we're off sick, we have no resources to pull from, because these people are working at supermarkets trying to make money, or we have a lot of really brilliant carers that have a wealth of knowledge that are leaving to work at Aldi because there's no responsibility and their pay is better. You know, they're guaranteed to get the weekends off work or be able to spend Christmas with their families rather than doing this. So we need to protect the staff we have that are putting up with this poor pay because we love the jobs we do.
I'll go here, that and you. I really struggle now, because when the support workers or the care workers mention I haven't got enough pay. So what will we do? We'll be in that situation that will they support us? How will they support us? You know, and it's really important that the staff does need a pay rise, because my mental health at the moment is not stable. Now, you know, I used to have 21 hours, it's gone down. So, because there's not enough staff to support me, or they're going to leave. So what I'm going to do, you know what I mean? It's really important that they support us so we can have a best quality life possible. Yeah.
But I was going to say that we don't have to go through all of the things of the pandemic just for us to understand what jobs are really important at the crucial stage of our lives. I don't think we would ever in our lifetime actually go through that phase of care. But when that came through, I think we were then recognized to be the key workers. And the pandemic is gone, the recognition is gone. It took a lot of struggle for the government to accept the key workers, the care sector key workers to be professionals, to increase that basic salary to 25,000 for us to even get the work permits. I mean, there is no value. The value lies with the amount you get paid. I know we all agree with money being the main criteria. Simple example, I walked into a super drugstore with my blue light card. I'm not an NHS worker, but blue light card we got now because carers got it. The store person asked me, "Oh, are you an NHS worker?" "Oh no, we don't take your blue light card because you're not an NHS worker." That shows lack of understanding of our role within the society. So I don't think there is any understanding within the society how important this role is. So that's what I was thinking. Thank
Now, our support workers and management, they all work for caretaker, by the way. They all work for caretaker. I do hear, I do, and so do I, other people that I have to work for caretaker. So they all now understand caretaker. What it is, right, if you want to go out in the evening, let me out with a key, but no one comes out with me. So there's no social distance between us. If they want to go out with a carer, they say, "We can't come out with you. We're not allowed to." So, Anna, it's Anna. We're saying to go out with someone. What can't they?
Don't know, it's a different service. Yeah. So I work with people that I work with.
Still caretaker.
Yeah, but caretakers cares for different people. They care for children as well, and they care for different adults. Okay, so the adults that I care for can go out in the evening if they want to.
I'm an adult. So the others, they don't. They go out. Because they're not able to.
They are able to, they choose not to.
Right,
Nigel is very social, he loves to go out a lot.
As you know.
Frequent times to the
So I think maybe it would be nice if you speak to your key worker, and see if you can change your schedule, change your weekly planner, and see if you can.
But it's on Friday and Saturday.
Right, listen, shall I come and go with you? Because I'm not carrying. Yeah.
So they're recruited there. That's good. I don't think it's happening, We got a spare room. You live in our room now. We've got 2 spare rooms, you'll be all right. We'll fit you up. Very comfortably.
Thank you. I'll go to Nigel and then we're gonna go to the questions. No, it's okay. Because we only have 60-30 minutes. So Nigel.
I think coming back to Daniel's question, the issue is that young people don't see social care as a career. And unless we start to encourage young people to come into it and they can see careers, then we're not going to have a social care workforce. Most of the social care workforce are an aging population. That's what we want. Young people are not going to see anything worthwhile. All they see is they can listen to anything else. Unless there's some structure to where they're going and how they can move up that train, that they can go and work and become nurses in social care, they can become teaching in social care. It's not limited to where we just see people providing care and support. There are other opportunities. But there's got to be a structure that's recognised by everybody, and that's part of the thing we need to put into place.
Right, thank you, everybody.
I've got
I think you asked the relevant question already, but then it's nice to hear from different views. But unpaid parents, nobody mentioned those yet, and they come to me on regular basis, and they are also real struggle for them when it comes to claiming benefits and things like that. And they find it very, very difficult. So is anybody in the room got experience of that or heard any stories of what then what's the solution for that?
Yeah, so I've got 5 siblings, 3 of which have got a learning disability, so growing up as a young parent, and my mum's an unpaid carer. And during the pandemic, my nan was dying of terminal lung cancer, and we cared for her at home. And there is, even though she was at our home dying, they put up a council tax. And the woman was dying in our front room, and they put up a council tax. And there was no support. And often families are left on, oh, we are caring from, so we don't have to do anything. And social services love that. They love it when families go, we're looking after them. And they sometimes will start to almost blackmail families. So I know that one of my older siblings was looking at more independent living, and my mum was told, well, we don't provide overnight care anymore, even though she would require that. And they basically said, well, she's got the best care for her is in your house now, and when Anna can't cope anymore. And they went, well, it's either that or she goes into the substandard care. And so families are often left in that dichotomy of what do I do? And I know a lot of families who have young people or older people, or they are aging themselves, and they think, what's going to happen to my kids or my brother and sister when mum and dad die or when I die? Because who's going to look after them? The social services there.
Yeah, I echo that from my own experience. My mum is a long-term care for my dad who's got Parkinson's. It's the same sort of experience where it can become harder to access services because there's no paid carer there to stand in for the shortages that exist within local authorities around the country. And it strikes me like perhaps one of the best things we can do for unpaid carers, as well as strengthening their rights, is to have a properly funded social care workforce that's developed, to increase it, to enable people who may want to, to have that, to maintain like the loving relationships they've got. They may not want to become someone's carer. They want to maintain the relationship the way it is, and that's very tricky when the caring role and the relationship roles kind of being merged together in a way. Yeah.
And one of the complaints I had from carers is that when some issue comes up, for example, a complaint from person living from market, even sometimes it's very unfair, and or the care homes, nobody listens to them. I was trying to find a couple of cases. Is that something you guys face and you experience it? Recently, somebody came to my constituency surgery, and she was telling me that a very ill patient she was trying to look after, basically was not very in very good mood, and she never said anything to the care, but she basically made a complaint to the agency, and they suspended her without giving any explanation whatsoever. And she was trying to find out why she's suspended, and she can't find work. She's unemployed now. And I'm trying to, on behalf, I'm trying to write to the company and ask them why he's suspended this worker.
I was in a long call this morning around workplace violence that care workers experience, and literature research that was done on that. Well, first of all, there isn't that much on it in the first place, which is worrying. Secondly, it shows that it goes vastly unreported because the society teaches care workers are just part of the job. So that goes the same, I think, in part if care workers make a mistake, they get punished. It isn't necessarily, what's happened, because at the end of the day, I think it's a hugely unfair expectation to have a hungry care worker who don't get paid enough to go to work and deliver outstanding care. How are they supposed to do that? But in terms of the general workplace violence, there is that issue that care workers are taught or think themselves as part of the job. They don't get training in terms of safeguarding themselves. That are included policies, methods, There isn't a framework really for national framework for reporting it, because there's no national body, no professional body for care workers. There is no registration framework for care workers, so there's nowhere for care workers to go. So I've heard from care workers many times, and it's often a discussion on online forums where care workers, it's either a case like this, when, you know, sometimes if you're a member of a union, you go to a union, but again, unionization levels in the workforce are very low. Or if in terms of abuse, if care workers wants to go to a local safeguarding board, the CPC or wherever to report it, there's just no interest. So it's very difficult. Obviously, that depends on the organisation, it depends on culture, and managers, and capacity there to deal with these things. I think it already starts from the point of care workers are not professional. So you can abuse them, you don't have to protect them, they have to take it, and they're disposable workforce. So we just check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to understand as well that social care is multifaceted, so that the elements that are not regulated, but the elements that are highly regulated, and when they're highly regulated, most providers are in between the devil and the people who say, we don't suspend a member of staff, CQC then come ask us why we haven't. And if we do, then obviously the individual wants to know information, and at that time to be investigated, we can't keep. And that's the point. The big issue I think the sector suffers with is that if CQC come in and inspect our provision and find it wanting and else from that, we can be closed down from that situation. Whereas the NHS will get merged to another part of the NHS and be paired and put back together and everything else. It can fail, or constantly does. But in social care, we can't do that. If you take a thing around now in terms of something like Oliver McGowan training, we're now to do the sector. We're able to do that because the NHS failed an individual with autism. And that's the problem that we're struggling with all the while. And that's a massive cost to us as the sector. Massive cost to us as a sector. And I know there's no resources in place to be able to do it.
Can I just make a point? Maybe ask a question. You make the point that there is no professional body. And I can see the logic in that. But to be part of a professional body not only has advantages, it can have disadvantages as well. Is there a general feeling that there is a need for just, given it's a swings and roundabout solution, is there a general feeling that that would be a right direction to follow?
Well, can I just very quickly, I'm campaigning for the MHA and the campaign next week, and it's something we are proposing a social care council professional body. So I'm really interested to hear what everyone thinks about that.
You've got a couple of more colleagues, so you want to, I think that would just relate to something.
Can I say something? Quickly. Person come from hospital right into our home. Our home is meant for people moving on, right? People get trouble coming ill, and then get out to a certain position, and then they're allowed to move on and find another place to move on to. And this person came over from hospital, found out he was a boxer, and is very violent towards staff and me and my car. He vandalised my car many times. And so the police were called many times to him, and all they kept saying was we give him a warning. The staff stood up for this person, and that was all wrong. Nothing was done about it until last time when he actually physically hurt someone from our home in the street. A member of the public brought him back, that person back, both people back to the home. He called the police, he got taken away then. But it took quite a few months, a year I think it was. That person physically moved on. I think there's something wrong with that system.
But we did have, at that time, risk assessments and everything in place to hopefully see if we can provide enough care for that resident to stay in our location, because they actually really did like it there. But unfortunately, it did get to a point where it did get out of hand, and he has now been the new placement.
But the difficulty is it depends on which organisation to put all that in place, because we get guidelines that say this is what safeguarding is, this is what you need to report.
Yeah.
But if there's no consistency, we're not recognised for the work we do in the fact it is a job.
Yeah.
We don't have that consistency across the sector, say this is what outstanding care is, or this is what needs to be focused on. You're working in different organisations and different roles. We can all sit here and recognise that everything you do in your capacity is incredible. Everything you guys do is incredible. I think that Shoshma does as an advisor is incredible. If we don't have that as a trickle-down effect from systems bigger than us, then all that happens is there'll be failings across the sector for decades to come, because there isn't consistency for anyone who slips through the net to be caught and picked back up again.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to bring it back and thinking about some of this in terms of the professionalisation point, I think a large part of what we've got is to do with where power lies in the system, how balanced it is, how imbalanced it is. So there really isn't a way for care providers, care workers rather, sorry, to have their voices heard in local systems or any higher than that at all. And I don't see a way of doing that without having some sort of properly representative body to do it. I would add to that point as well, something what you're saying about, the need to be able to listen to the whole point of providing care is for the people we're providing care to. And we want to equip care workers to be able to listen to their needs and their wants as well. So that needs to kind of feed into that thinking about professionalisation too.
Yeah. Might get myself thrown out by security.
That's a good start.
Gary, I wasn't defending that. I was merely saying that if you talk to any local authority about the demand and the amount of money they get, that you don't match.
Shit like a waterfall, they celebrate like that for $1 billion in half the time. And now, if I'm right, when I get supported health and I get benefits, my care went up in cost. And so my care, when I was given more money paid towards my care, and then obviously home group, obviously within that increased their amount that they wanted to take, so that increased, so I ended up paying more. Which is fair enough, so that then went to the home group, but then home group sort of, well, like all other organisations, got to put that increase on the staff's wages. But then the big companies will turn around and say, we've made a massive profit. Is that profit really all theirs, or is it because they're not increasing the staff's payments each year?
Right, I'll just take one more and then we're ready to open panel question in this room, then we'll go back.
Yeah, so really quickly, I understand this means about having a professional body governing, care workers, but until we have such, we're not going to be professionals. This is it. So we have campaigns about nurses. We need campaigns about care workers. We need a body that will govern us. That, yes, might say, well, we're not doing a job right, but one that we can also go to and will be listened to. Yeah. So at the moment, nobody listens to us. I have social workers come into the service and I support these people 24/7. And I tell the social workers, this is what they need. Yeah, you've been in that situation. This is what they need. This is the support we need to provide. And the social worker then sends me a report who tells in report because I have to just
Yeah. So I think it's you now. If you don't know, you need to book up this online. You don't want to get kicked out of it. So that's just walking. Thank you so much once again for coming here, and I think it's clear. And the decision need to start what kind of social care we want in the future in this country. And I think your role is very important. And if you don't look after the care workers, then I don't know where we're gonna get. But you got our support, you got our front bench support, and I can assure you that we'll be speaking up for your rights and the good future. But once again, thank you so much for coming here to the end and gracing us with your presence and giving us your thoughts and experience you have. So once again, thank you. We'll have a quick picture, I think a group picture. Here, video of
Sorry to be a typical MP. Picture.
Yeah, no, it's very great.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Send us lots of questions. Yes,
Thank you very much for having us.
and thanks to those who have the APPG as well. Thank you.
Thank you. For coming to the
Whatever we do, let's get on with it, because the others are on the route.
Yeah.
Yeah.